All right, what's going on? We're back with another one of my partners, and I could not be more excited to introduce you all to this young man out of South Carolina, of all places. Fun fact, I have never been there, but nonetheless, I've had the blessing of helping this young man hit the ground running in a massive way in the real estate industry. And he'll tell you more of his story, but when I connected with him, he was finishing up the licensing process, active duty Air Force, and in the months ahead, he hit the ground running in real estate, looked at all his options in his local market, decided to run with us here at EXP and me specifically. And, we set everything into motion. I'm excited for him to share how it's gone. But I'm trying to decide, do I want to spoil it or not? I mean, I'll just say it. He closed 41 deals his first 12 months out of real estate school with what he was able to do with the resources, connections, and everything that we brought to the table. Just shy of $10 million in closed sales volume. Absolutely life-changing, to say the very least. But with all that being said, we got Ian Razor, the sharpest realtor east of the Mississippi. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me here.
Of course, man, dude. I'm stoked, man. I think there's going to be some serious nuggets dropped, provided you share some of them, man, because I know you got a lot of them stacked up over there. But man, before we even dive into all the real estate talk, tell us about life before real estate, man. What was that like?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Florida. It's a small town, well, smallish. It's not really small now, Bradenton, Florida, and essentially, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, up until the point where I was 18, 19. I'm sure a lot of us were the same way. But I ended up wanting to join the military. That's what I kind of came up with. I didn't want to go to community college. I kind of felt like the military would be a great starting ground for me to be able to pivot into any direction I wanted to, just because of the resources, the connections you make, everything like that. And so I was very fortunate. And when I got into the Air Force as a civil engineer, I got sent to Germany for my first duty station. And then after 2 years there, had a couple deployments, actually got stationed out in Guam. And then that's where I really got my first taste of real estate. Well, I should say my real estate failure there. But essentially, I ended up joining the Air Force in 2014, and I got out in the beginning of 2022. And then I ended up obviously connecting with Tyler. He got me started up in real estate and, taught me about the opportunity that there is and presented all the options to me. And I just took it and ran, man.
Man, that's wild. I know you didn't really go into detail on kind of the missed opportunity, but it's kind of interesting to hear that you recognize along the way, like, hey, there's something here with real estate. Maybe there's more opportunity on the other side of it, really diving in. And certainly you found it, but why real estate more specifically? Was it because you saw what played out with that, or like what made you decide to really go for this?
Yeah, and I'll definitely touch on that missed opportunity for sure, because it's part of what goes into how I run my business now. But when I ultimately sat down and I took a look at what I like to do, my favorite missions when I was in the military were my humanitarian deployments. So there were missions where basically after a big typhoon would come through, we would go supply food, shelter, we would build houses. We would just do whatever we can to take care of the people in the different islands outside of Guam. And those were my favorite missions. So I realized, I'm like, well, okay, I like to help people. But as I'm in the military, I'm like, well, I don't like being told what to do all the time. I want to be my own boss. I want to run my own business. But I also want to have the opportunity to set myself and my family up financially, not only just me, myself right now, but generations. Like I wanted to be that pivot point in my family tree where we've all grown up with nothing, all the way down to the earliest family tree that my dad, granddad can remember, and essentially turn it all around to where I could be that stepping stone where people can look at the family tree and say, hey, this guy's the one who pivoted and just turned it all around for us. And so when I started looking into different career opportunities outside of the military, real estate just stuck out to me. It's like, okay, so you're telling me I get to build my own schedule. I get to be my own boss. I get the freedom possibility of the financial freedom aspect of it was so large that I just couldn't pass up that opportunity. And I would help people achieve things and achieve dreams that maybe they didn't even see for themselves. So that's what real estate really meant to me, and that's why I, got started in it.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's a big vision going into things here. I don't really hear every single person kind of articulating it that way or having that much clarity. I think a lot of people recognize that, this is, well, actually, I hear it pretty common, like, hey, like I always wanted to do real estate, just never pursued it. That's something I hear from people a lot. And then other times it's just, maybe they're tired of something else they had going, but it sounds like you were really inspired by the bigger vision of what you could actually build long term, by diving right into the industry here. But why would you say though? Because like I know, dude, out of all the people I've ever connected with, I would put you like towards the top of the list out of people that like really looked at their options coming in. Like there's people I work with who I don't think they even looked at another option, honestly, like if I really asked them. But then there's others that, they definitely did a lot of research, a lot of talking to brokers. I feel like you probably talked to like everyone nearby you who was in the business as far as like firms and where you could have hung your hat and hit the ground running. I'm sure there's plenty of people that had something to offer, but why, given all those options, did you decide to go with EXP? And maybe even more specifically, why on earth did you partner with someone who's never been to the freaking state you're in? Like, I'm sure a lot of people are hearing this and they probably can't even wrap their mind around that. But yeah, man, why did you decide to go that whole direction getting into the game?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, I'm a very analytical person. I like to plan things if I can. And getting your real estate license, the one thing even you told me, when we first talked is, hey, explore other options, because at the end of the day, I mean, we know what EXP offers, we know what EXP can do for you, but at the same time, we also want you to be so invested in it that you are able to seize those opportunities and make them real opportunities instead of just talk. And so I did go, I went to all the Remax, Keller Williams, Century 21, Coldwell, and a couple even smaller brokerages where I talked to some people, and they told me about their structure, their plan when it came to splits. And the biggest thing that every single one of them told me compared to you, Tyler, was, well, we're going to start you out with a couple of leases and maybe you'll close 3 to 4 to 5 homes your first year. And that's perfectly okay to only close, 1, 2, 3, 4 homes. And I'm like, I honestly feel like I can do a little bit better. I mean, I think I can get at least 15 to 20. And they're like, well, that's shooting a little bit too high. And right there, when a lot of them said that, and they're like, well, we would love for you to do that because obviously that makes us successful, but we don't think it's possible for you to do. And I'm like, well, okay, then clearly you don't have the tools and you don't have the opportunities for me to be able to accomplish that. If you really feel like I can't do that, then that's a problem. And when I talked to Tyler and, we went over EXP's structure and how everything is laid out, it was, no, that potential is up to you. It's up to you to seize these opportunities. This is everything we offer. And not to mention, you talk about the revenue share and the stock and, all of these other things, incentives that we have. And the collaboration, obviously, I think is what set it apart as well. So I think when I interviewed all those brokerages and I said, hey, like, this is what I'm thinking, and they kind of came at me with a little bit of negativity, with not supporting my dreams for closing 15 to 20 my first year. It kind of turned me off of it. And then I started looking at all the opportunities, the splits, and ultimately the long term. Like I said, I like to plan. So I'm looking at the long-term vision for myself, and I realized, okay, the stock and the revenue share and building a team and building something for myself and not for someone else. And that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me about EXP. And then when it came to you, man, I mean, you really told me to go explore other options, and you laid out everything you had to offer and what you were going to do for me in terms of the mentorship, the support, the collaboration. And, everything that you told me you were going to help me achieve, you did that. And you did that in a very big way. And obviously it, changed my life to the point where, like we all hope we can get to the point where we don't worry about financials. We don't worry about how much we're spending at the grocery store. We, are looking at investment properties and bigger houses and better cars and doing what you can to be able to help people. Because now I'm in this situation where if a client of mine needs more help, than what other agents would be willing to offer, I would be willing to extend that and help them, which obviously helps me grow my business. But at the same time, that changes lives in the process. And that's the position I'm in now.
That's amazing, man. And yeah, like I'm always confident when someone like really does compare and contrast. And you know, because like I really do believe in the value that you know our firm and more specifically we as a group bring to the table within the mix here. And you're someone who moved with it, man. And like, so what would you say, kind of having had the time on task here, obviously operating in the real estate industry, but running your business within EXP, what do you say you've found to be the most beneficial aspect about EXP for helping you build your business the way you have?
Well, first, I mean, I really like the platform, right? With not, if I ever need to reach out to my broker, it's very easy for me to go in EXP world and reach out to my broker. If I need to talk to anybody, meet up with anybody, it can be done virtually from my own home. And then if you do want the collaboration aspect of an in-person office, I mean, that stuff is available too. But, and that's the key word, is I was going to say collaboration. The collaboration I've felt with other EXP agents is, I mean, even when other people from other brokerages look at, you know, the way EXP is, and, you know, some of them might even call it culty, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you're supposed to have good collaboration with other agents, because if you do, that's where you can build relationships and you can help each other out, send referrals. And this isn't collaborating with only local agents. This is collaborating with agents globally, worldwide, where, you know, I have an agent that I talk to that's in Italy, you know, on a daily basis. And, you know, that was stationed out in Italy, got his license, and now he's out there in Italy citizenship. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And so when you talk about that aspect of everything and the events that EXP has, and you're able to bring it all together, it doesn't feel like it's a virtual brokerage, but it has the benefits of being a virtual brokerage, which, like I said, I like, you know, having all the access at my fingertips.
Yeah, dude, that's you know, really valuable, really insightful, man. You know, I love hearing about when people really do tap into that collaborative network that we have, and you know, the platforms we have to facilitate it, because it's a night and day difference between someone who's here and does and doesn't. Because like, there's, you know, you can't force someone to plug in, just like you can't force someone to go to the gym if they are paying for a membership. So yeah, you're plugged in at as high of a level as anyone out there is. So really cool to hear that. What would you say, kind of shifting gears here, but like, obviously, like, dude, we could talk about all the deals, the success. I think you've like closed like more than 100 deals at this point, buy and sell transactions, correct?
Yeah.
And that's in a about 2 year time span from fresh out of real estate school. So, but like, point is, it's like we could talk all freaking day about, you know, what that's kind of meant for you in your life, and like all the deals, all the happy clients, and all that good stuff. But we'd be completely missing, you know, one of the most, I think, important things to put on the table, which is what it actually takes. It's like, so like, what has been the most difficult thing you've had to overcome on the journey of doing all that, and really the whole time you've been in the real estate business?
I mean, I think there's a couple of things. So I know when it comes to learning how to schedule your day, right? Because getting started in real estate, there's a lot of freedom that goes into it, and especially I could say this for anybody who is in the military thinking about, you know, getting into real estate. As the military tells you, you have to be here, you have to wear this, you have to be here at this time, and you know it, right? The hand holding is real. But in real estate, you have a lot more freedom, which is great, but it can also lead to the downfall of your business if you don't have the correct scheduling. You know, whether you have it in a to-do list format or you have it in a traditional Google Calendar, having scheduling of some point was something that I struggled to do in the beginning. And when I say struggle, I don't mean necessarily with work, but with the personal side of things. So spending time with family, having time to yourself, being able to mentally recuperate after a very busy week or weeks, months, you know, as things keep going, your business keeps growing at such a fast pace that it seems like it's never going to slow down. And so then you don't slow down. and that can lead you to a mental fatigue. And I think that was the biggest hurdle for me, was that mental fatigue that I ended up getting, I think, after my first year, because I've done so much, and obviously I was very grateful for that, but being able to find the time for myself, was definitely a very hard thing. And so what I started doing is, instead of the traditional schedule, is I like to do a to-do list. Obviously, if I have something that has to get done at a certain time, it's on my schedule, it's on my calendar. But besides that, with all of these other tasks that I like to do, I like to have a to-do list and put the most important things at the top, get those knocked out, get everything done. And then it feels more, I guess, accomplishing to me personally in terms of my mental health. And then I'm able to say, okay, I have these things knocked out. My scheduled things are taken care of. Now I can go to the gym. I can relax and watch an episode of a TV show. I can go on YouTube and even just spend time on there. And then it's like, okay, what else is on my to-do list? Get back to it, start knocking everything out. And then when the night before, I end up redoing that to-do list, getting everything that's important on there, going through my day. And that really helped me kind of calm that aspect down, and really helped my mental health in terms of avoiding the burnout.
Yeah, that's a great freaking tip right there. That's a great system for that. What would you say, so from your experience in the military, what would you say was the biggest thing that you feel like you learned in your years doing that you've been able to successfully apply it to real estate, if it's, beyond what you've already shared, if there's anything?
No, yeah. So I think the biggest thing is discipline, right? So I know we talk about it a lot in terms of helping out new agents. Maybe I've seen some of your other calls that you've had where you've talked about this before too, where it's staying disciplined to what you need to do, to what you have to do. So if you have something scheduled, or it's like if you're just getting started in real estate, it's having that discipline to make those calls when you don't want to make the calls, to get up and go to the gym even though you don't want to. It's that discipline that obviously in the military, it just got instilled in us, right? We didn't have a choice. It was, hey, you have to do this, or you have to maintain these standards. You have to, or there was going to be consequence, and you have to hold yourself to a higher level of discipline than normal people would, or even that they did in the military. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how bad you are at your job in the military, you still got a paycheck after 2 weeks. In real estate, if you are bad at your job, you're not getting paid. So then what are you going to do then? Then you have to get another job. You have to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to make it that next month, because real estate, in a lot of aspects you're only as good as your next transaction for the most part in terms of paying your bills. So, if you don't have anything in the pipeline for next month, well, then guess what? Like you're in a little bit of trouble there. So it's that discipline, I would say, is one of the biggest aspects of it. And the other thing, and I'll touch on, a little bit of, in terms of my business, right, is my biggest aspect on what I like to present to people and to clients is my value proposition. And that's something that, I can dive into a little bit in terms of, the missed opportunity that I had in Guam. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned in the military that really helped me pursue what I wanted to pursue in real estate. And that was the fact that when I got to Guam in 2017, I was going to buy a property with my VA loan because you can do that because Guam is a U.S. territory. And I was told by my leadership essentially that I couldn't. Nobody knew that you were allowed to use your VA loan there, or that you could. Or some people were telling me, well, you have to be a staff sergeant, you have to be an E5 to use your VA loan. Whatever bogus excuse it was, they told me all of this wrong information. And then all of a sudden, the property I was going to buy for $400,000, when I left in 2021, that property was worth $1.2 million. And so when I figure out, I'm like, that's the same house that I was going to buy, and realizing when you start thinking about it, and it's like, hey, of course you should have bought that property, because Guam is a tiny rock in the middle of the ocean. So you can't build more real estate. It's already there. So once those prices go up, there's nothing to bring it down. And so that was the biggest lesson that I learned, that I missed out that opportunity. So I made it part of my value proposition and who I am today to educate as many veterans, active duty service members as I can, so that they don't make that same mistake that I did, whether it's me helping them as the real estate agent or just advising them as they go through with another agent, another state, another country, whatever it is. That's what I kind of take personally. So the military taught me a lot when it came to obviously not only real estate, but life in general.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. Dude, that's so crazy. But how cool is it though to be in a position where you can help countless people that, I mean, may be have been in your shoes at that point, but like they actually have the right information in person in their ear that's helping them navigate that. Dude, can you imagine? Like, imagine if you came across like someone who's like, you now and knowledgeable and like, that's the difference it makes. And to be able to make that across so many different people in so many different places, like, dude, that's going to be impactful. So there's purpose in it, I believe. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, and that's, when I wake up day to day, and it's, there are moments and times in life where you really think about what you've not only done for yourself, but what have you done for others? And to truly think, well, like on a daily basis where I have people reaching out to me, whether it's people I served with, people I've never talked to before, friends of clients, clients of clients, whatever it is, even if it's just them getting information and saying, wow, I did not know that. Thank you. And you never know what that information can turn into, whether it's going to be beneficial to you or not, to know like of the lives that I've changed, like realistically. And that's not to put lightly, because I know it's like we say we change lives and some people be like, well, you're just real estate agents. And I get that a lot. And I'm like, well, you got to think. So, okay. So my buddy bought his first house with me a couple years ago, and he has $100,000 of equity sitting in that house in Charleston. $100,000. That's something that if he would have rented a property like he was going to and didn't, understand about the VA loan and what you can do, how you can use it more than one time, and that it's a lifetime benefit, and saying, okay, well, I'm going to buy this property. And now he's sitting on 6 figures of equity, and it's a rental property for him now when he bought another property. So he owns 2 properties, one that has 100,000 of equity that's cash flowing $500 a month for him. That's absolutely crazy. That's life-changing if you think about it. You have $500 a month coming in. That's a car payment if you want to have a decent, car coming in. That 6 figures of equity can change his life if he ever needed to tap into that. And, being able to do that for countless amounts of people, like I said, not only in my market, but all of my friends and family who also served in the military, who are like, wow, I didn't know you could do this with a VA loan. And that's when I say friends and family, I mean, these are people that are 50, 60, 70 years old that did not know they had the opportunity to use their VA loan even more than one time. Like they didn't even know. And it's so sad because you're like, okay, you went 50 years, without realizing that you could use your VA loan again. And it's just, it's a shame to see. So I love, giving people that information just because it can truly change someone's life. And not only that person, but then their whole family tree, right? Like if someone buys a property and they give it to their kid in 18 years to use as a rental property, you just change that person's life and that person's outcome going forward.
Yeah, dude, there's such a massive opportunity, for like, and that's what's so cool too, is like you found your niche along the way. There's a lot of agents out there. There's not a whole lot of people that really lean into a niche, especially one that they have like so much firsthand personal experience with, even prior to getting in the real estate industry. So, dude, there's so much value you bring to the table with that alone. But having known what it's like to be starting out in this business, effectively with no clients, trying to, get your footing with things. So 0 clients, $0 in real estate, to where you're at today, probably, I'd imagine you probably get up with a high level of confidence, not only with like the pipeline you have, but like you're probably not even really concerned where the next client and opportunity is going to come from at this point. But, obviously that's not how it is day one. But what would you say in the process of, being at both those points? Like, what would you say the biggest thing you've learned, or as I like to put it, what's the biggest breakthrough you had along the way?
I think the biggest breakthrough was getting over like your pride, right? Because it's very, a lot of people have pride, and it's like, I didn't want people to say no to me. And it's like, I took it honestly kind of harsh when I would start out in the beginning. And I'm like, hey, well, this is, even if it's somebody that got connected with you, whether it was a client, a lender at the time, because when I got started, lenders didn't even want to talk to new agents. It was like, it's completely different than it is now. I get calls from lenders all the time. And, it's just that pride, I think, that was holding me back to start out. But regardless of anything, and I'll tell this to anybody watching this, is that your confidence should be the same day one as it is day 365, as it is day 1,000, 10,000. Your confidence has to be there. And I know that's something that I see a lot of agents struggle with, is that confidence to know, like, hey, you're the man, you're the woman, like you can handle this job, you can get it done, and that all of the information is out there. And so when I look at the difference between, myself right now and myself back then, the biggest thing was pride, right? It was kind of getting over that hump of the objection portion of things, and knowing how to navigate it and not get offended or hurt if, a friend of yours goes and uses another real estate agent. It's not taking that personally. And it's like, okay, like you can say, whatever it is, but if your friend uses another real estate agent and they're still asking you a question to help them out, I still help them out. I'm not saying, well, you used another agent, so go ask them. It's one of those things. But in the beginning, I did, right? Where someone was like, hey, well, I'm PCSing there, but I already have an agent. And it's like, okay, well, all right, well, have fun. But nowadays, I'm still providing that information. And it actually happened the other day. And then that person was like, well, I'm using this real estate agent, but I have a buddy of mine also PCSing over to Fort Jackson in Columbia. Would you mind helping him out? And I'm like, okay, absolutely. Because I was able to provide that information. He was able to share, a potential client with me because I was just even willing to help. And that's something I wouldn't have done my first day. I would have just been like, okay, I'm going to leave you on red now. But yeah, that's definitely a huge growth for me, for sure.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, and I mean, unfortunately, I think it's something that everyone's gonna be able to relate on some levels. Exactly what you just said. I mean, it's part of life. But that's so interesting to hear. Like, hey, there could still be opportunity there. It's like, just because they've got something locked in that they already committed to, it doesn't mean that they're not connected with anyone that they could potentially connect with you if you actually just put your helping hand out, and don't completely disregard them just because you're upset that they didn't call you first or what have you. And I know it's not 100%, not always the case, but I mean, truth is, a lot of times when that happens, it's because someone else beat us to the punch. They did a better job of staying in front of that person when it was time than we did. So
Yep.
usually that's a factor too, where kind of helps to have some introspection and really assess, like, hey, where could I grow from this? How could I do better? But it's cool to know, like, yeah, there's still opportunity there. Don't completely disregard that, or let it sour a great friendship that otherwise would be in place. So now, speaking on like kind of what you've been able to do in your life with the traction you've had in real estate so far, man, like how has that impacted your life up to this point?
I mean, it just, I don't even know if words can kind of put it in, man. It's at the point where, I know realistically, like we have taxes coming up, right? So we've all gotten our, 1099s and everything. And when I saw it this last year, I mean, it got me into tears, man. I mean, it changed my life. I mean, I never pictured myself making as much as it did, right? I mean, even six figures, right? You got to think nowadays is it's a blessing. Like if you are in that position to make that kind of money, because that does change your life and your family's life. And, it makes you look for more opportunity. And it's not one of those things where I said, okay, well, I made it now, so I'm going to slow down. It motivates you more and more and more. And obviously with real estate, I mean, I just can't even imagine. I don't know, man. I think about if I was still in the military, I'd still be, probably here at Shaw Air Force Base making 45,000 a year. Just kind of, I don't know, getting by paycheck to paycheck and just doing what I can to kind of survive, instead of, being able to just say like, I'm financially comfortable. I'm not like, I'm not comfortable in terms of like my job and, everything like that, because I'm still like looking to grow, and I'm always looking to grow. But being able to do things that other people can't do, and to say like, hey, I have a lot of this opportunity. And obviously it comes with a lot of hard work, that you put in through real estate. But real estate, I mean, it changed my life to the point, like I said, I mostly can't even put it into words, me and my family's life for generations to come.
Man, that's dude. I'm so stoked. Like to be able to say that as early on in the journey as you are is, dude, truly a blessing, and it makes me excited to see what you do with all the time ahead, man. Because like we're barely like just getting started with this thing for all intensive purposes. I mean, but if anything, though, like for those of you listening, this should inspire you. Like, I mean, everyone's timeline is different, but like just to even know that you're stepping into a place where what Ian's sharing is even possible, like where that's something that can actually happen, that someone can apply themselves to and see that kind of upside. That's incredible, because I don't know of other places where that can really even be done anywhere out there. So, now what would you say, man? Kind of thinking ahead, what's on the horizon that you'd say you most look forward to accomplishing, in real estate and life? Like, I guess, kind of what's on the radar in front of you looking forward?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, my goal, I mean, like I said, I love to help people and I love to teach. I've always been a huge advocate of being just a natural leader and just being a teacher, right? And just helping the next people coming forward to just do great things. That's something I take a lot of pride, in, and it makes me very happy. So ultimately, I do want to transition into being more of a coach and mentor full time, and really helping people get to the point where I'm at, in a very fast, time span, and just kind of giving them everything that I did, not really holding back. And that's what I love about EXP, right? Is nobody is afraid to give you the nuggets, to give you everything that they did to become successful, whether it's at a real estate event, an EXP event, whatever. If you talk to an EXP agent, they're going to give you the tips and the things, how they're getting listings, how they're getting buyers. And it's truly awesome. And so that's why I want to transition more into that kind of coaching role in the next couple years, build a team, and, just really try to make a bigger extension of myself, because then I just know that if people have the information that I have, they're going to be able to go out and help people the same way. Because every time you talk to one person, they know thousands of people at least that you don't know. So then if you're giving them that information, they now have access to those thousands of people that needed that information that you have, if that makes sense. So you're giving someone the information that can spread it to thousands of other people that you would not have access to. And so if you're able to do that, you're able to change as many lives as possible and help as many people get to financial freedom as possible. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone deserves to have financial freedom. It's not always going to happen for everybody, but everyone deserves the opportunity. And so that's kind of where I see myself going forward.
Dude, I freaking love it. Like, you're talking about a ripple, like, to help others get closer to what you've been able to do with the same opportunity. Because, dude, you're right. It's not common in our industry. I connected with someone who's about to finish her licensing process, and she, really hasn't looked into depth, at her options post licensing, but like she noticed something, that to her was very obvious, and she didn't really understand why it was, but she was kind of telling me how like it was a completely different sort of feel she got connecting with agents that were at a variety of regular bricks and mortar kind of brokerages like the KW Century 21s, like because she knows a few people in the industry. When she put it out there that, hey, I'm in the process of getting my license, she got a completely different vibe from those people versus all the EXP people she's connected with. Like, and the way she put it was like, yeah, for whatever reason, it's like, it almost seems like they're kind of threatened by me getting in the business at these other companies. But for whatever reason, these EXP people, they're excited, like that I'm getting into the business. And so it's like, again, she doesn't really even understand why that is, but she just noticed that there was just a completely different sense of, probably best way to put it, collaboration with how we work. And she hasn't even looked into like why that is. I'm going to help her look at that further. But even people, it's something very easy for them to pick up on if they or just even putting it out there, because it is a very competitive industry we're in. But like, to have, again, a structure like you're saying that really provides an opportunity for people that truly do have something to give back and share and help others, like to give them a platform to do it. It's a beautiful thing, man. So kind of rounding things out, let's say this, man. So if you could give I mean, you've learned a heck of a lot in the past 2 years here, but just thinking back to day one in the business, if you could give yourself just one tip, and that's it, you can't share the whole playbook, but just one thing, day one in the business, you could tell yourself, what would that be?
Man, I think if I had to tell myself one thing, it would be don't stop, right? And that's the one thing, and that's because in real estate sometimes it takes a little bit for things to get going. And even when we talk about when I closed 41 transactions my first year, I had only closed 4 deals in 6 months. And then the last 6 months it was 37. And that's because I didn't stop. And I almost did. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to say like, and I'm not going to say like I would have stopped completely or gave up on real estate, but I wouldn't have been at the level. Like, I had myself at such a high level, at such a high standard, that I was like, I'm not going to stop. And I started to kind of, everybody does, right? If you're not seeing the traction that you think you should be seeing, everybody's natural reaction is, well, okay, it's just not working for me. Like, I need to stop. I need to slow down. And that would be the one thing I would say to myself, would be just don't stop, because that's how I got to the point where I am right now. And that's what I would tell anybody getting started in real estate for the very first time, is don't stop generating leads. Don't stop getting up and putting in the work that you're supposed to put in, and don't stop looking for opportunity. And if you do those 3 things, well, that opportunity is going to come looking for you. If you put yourself in a position to receive opportunity and you are prepared for it, it's going to come. Like, it's, I closed four deals in 6 months. And then my 7th month, I closed 7 in 1 month. And so it was absolutely, and that changed obviously my life. And I took that momentum and I kept running to it. But that's because I didn't stop generating leads. I didn't stop following up with people that I was supposed to follow up with. And I didn't stop, just putting in the work. And it's very easy to get to the point where you do stop.
So why didn't you stop?
I would say because I felt like something big was coming. Like, even though it's like, we can all say that we think that's going to happen, that our business is going to explode, I really did feel like I was going to do something that nobody else had done, or, do something that's very hard to do. Like, I felt like something was there where I'm like, and every day when I got up, and I'm like, man, okay, like, and transitioning out of the military was so scary, because my first 3 months I was still active duty in the military. And then I'm separating from the military with no guaranteed paycheck, getting out of the military. And I burned the boats. Right. So I'm separating. So I can't tell the military, hey, I want to go back. Like, they're already processing me out. And, I don't know. I had something in my mind where I'm like, all right, don't stop. Something big is coming. Like, your life's about to change. And that's because of the opportunity that EXP and real estate offers. And I was confident, right? I still had those thoughts. Everybody has those thoughts when you burn the boats and you're just like, is this such a good idea? And even my wife, she's my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you're just going to separate? I mean, you don't have a guaranteed check. Like, and that's the only thing she says. She never said anything else about it, and she told me, obviously a couple months back, and she's like, honestly, I was scared. She's like, I thought I was going to be supporting us on a, one military household here. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy when you think about, like, I'm like, I really gave it all up to pursue real estate full time, put my full force into it. And I didn't stop pursuing what I thought was going to happen. And even being here right now, it's just like, I'm not done stopping, right? Like, I feel like something bigger is on the horizon very, very shortly. And so that's what I told myself, and that's what I believed. And, it obviously happened to the point where, even on our team, like, I've broken records, and I'm plan on just keep overdoing myself and outdoing myself. And at the end of the day, like I'm trying to just beat my own self. Right. Like, so it's just, I don't know, man, it's incredible to think about.
Yeah, dude, that's a huge piece of advice. And I firmly believe for anyone who's stepping into this industry, is as long as you don't stop, you're going to go somewhere with this thing. Like that's literally if you got to boil down, hey, why do people fail out of this business? It's because they stop. That's it.
They stop. Yep. Yep.
That's
They
it.
just, they lose the confidence, and they, and it's because they stop, right? If you stop going to the gym, you're going to stop seeing results in terms of your physical and mental health. You're going to, you stop anything, you stop. I mean, you're not going to see those results. And it's very easy to say, well, I'm not going to, right? I'm not going to stop, doing what I need to do. But if you don't see those results right away, that mental fatigue then starts coming in, and you have that little thought in the back of your head, and you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten to real estate. Maybe I shouldn't have separated from the military. And then that's a slippery slope right there that can lead you into, honestly, into mediocrity. And that's something that I never wanted to be. I think I've told you this, Tyler, but my most hated word in all of history is complacency. I cannot stand complacency. I cannot stand the thought of being comfortable and being complacent in a spot where you could achieve so much more. And honestly, and it's not to offend anybody, but I felt like in the military, for me, that was me being complacent. And I know a lot of people that I talk to, and they tell me the same thing. They say it's comfort. It's complacency. It's like, I don't have to worry about a paycheck. I don't have to worry about anything. I know if I do my 20, I'm going to retire and I'm going to get out. And that's great, right? There are benefits to that. We do need people to stay in 20 years in the military, and get stuff handled. But at the same time, for me personally, I felt like I was going to do something bigger than what I would have done in the military. And I was going to impact more people than I would have in the military. And that has held up true to this day.
Man, that's incredible. Dude, I'm even more fired up after our conversation here, but let's end it on this, man. And you mentioned, kind of part of your vision going forward is, helping others and, kind of even being more of a coach and leader in that sense for other people around the industry here. So, dude, let's give an opportunity if there's anyone out there, because I don't know who's going to see this. Hopefully some of the right people do, but dude, for one, like, who would you say we're looking for if there's someone out there who's wanting to do more in real estate? Like, who would be the ideal person to connect with us? And dude, let's give them an opportunity to connect if they want to do that. So, I mean, any thoughts on, like, hey, who would be the right fit to connect with us if it's someone around the industry who maybe they're already active in real estate, maybe they're about to hit the ground running with their license, whatever the case is. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would ultimately say it's somebody who's confident and driven, because I know EXP particularly is, I mean, it's a great model. There's no model like it, but at the same time, with so many of these things for the most part being virtual and us having EXP World and such easy access to things, it's not for the faint of heart, honestly. Like, it's not for people who are, just, if you don't have that group, that dynamic, if you need to go into an office, or like I said, EXP has those groups and teams that have offices and have, good support. But at the same time, the biggest complaint I see from people that do leave EXP is the fact that they feel like they didn't have enough collaboration, which is hilarious because I feel like EXP is the most collaborative brokerage out there. And it's just because you didn't choose to reach out to people. And that's the thing, is anybody watching this, if you do come through EXP or you don't come through EXP, I'm sure you can reach out to me and Tyler anytime, and we'd be willing to share anything with you. I'd be willing to share my whole playbook on how I get my leads and how I do everything to anybody. And that's something that I can confidently say when I talk to other agents in Remax or, whatever these other brokerages, and they're just apprehensive. They don't want to give me they don't want to talk to me about their strategies and their things that they're doing. And it's just like, I'm like, okay, well, but they'll ask, well, what did you give me your stuff? I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it right now. And they're like, wow, you would do that for me? Yeah, man, come on. So, but you do have to be driven, right? You have to be ambitious. You have to be wanting more. And that's the thing, the perfect thing that I love about EXP. It's for people who want more. And it's the possibility of multiple revenue streams coming into you, like the collaboration, just everything that there is to offer. It's at your fingertips. You have to be the one to just be driven enough to take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you. That's what I would say.
Very well said, man. And so if you're hearing this right now, wherever you're at on that journey, you're in the business, got an active license, putting it to work, or you're about to hit the ground running. If you resonated with what Ian just shared right there, I'm going to give you the opportunity to connect with us. So do this. You're going to find a way to get a hold of me in the description below, but I want you to make sure that if you're sending an email, you have to mention Ian in it. I need to know that you saw our conversation here and that you really resonated with what he brought to the table, because from there, we'll get to see, hey, where are you at in the business? What is it that we can do to, bring value to the table to help you get to that next point in your business and your journey. And, provided that it's something, that's clear enough that we can help you with it. I think we'd both be up to make that connection and see how we can help you get there. So again, reach out. You'll find my email and some other helpful info for you in the description below, and mention Ian. And if it makes sense, I will make sure that we get you connected with him, and we'll see what we can bring to the table to help you take things to a whole nother level in your business and life, if that's the trajectory you want to be on. So Ian, man, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to share. This has been one of my favorite conversations yet. So hopefully the viewers got value out of it too. I'm sure they did. And by the way, if you're watching, if somehow you're not subscribed, hit that button. I mean, I really need to tell you why and the value you're going to get out of it? But dude, Ian, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks for having me, man. It was an honor being here. And yeah, if you're not subscribed, subscribe now, man. I mean, the value is off the charts here.
And Ian, if anyone wants to follow you along your journey, is there a place that they can go to do that?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok. It's _Razor. So I know you guys probably see my last name on here, but _Razor. And you guys can follow me, message me on TikTok, Instagram, whatever you guys want to do. And I would be willing to, like I said, get you connected and get you on the path to true financial freedom and success.
There we have it. Let's make it happen. Take action with it, everyone. You didn't spend this time for no reason, so do something with it. But that being said, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.